Hi, I'm Susan Papanicholas from How Does Your Garden Grow in Seattle, Washington. Thanks for tuning into our Getting Ready for Spring series. It's very cold, it's late winter, there's so much to do in the garden, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about a pretty simple task, which is cutting back deciduous perennials. Deciduous perennials are plants that come back year after year in your garden. That's a perennial. And deciduous ones die back each fall so that they don't have any foliage up and alive that is photosynthesizing. A lot of times you might cut deciduous perennials back in the fall so that you cut off those dead stems and leaves as soon as they die back. But I think they can be really pretty in the winter garden. A lot of the seed heads can provide food for birds. The hollow stems that are left behind can be important habitat for beneficial insects. So I like to leave a lot of that material up in the winter where it provides winter interest and habitat and food for the wildlife in my garden. But by now, in late winter, it's looking pretty crummy and I want to clean it up and cut it back. It's pretty simple. This right here is a sedum autumn joy that I have growing in my garden. It produced these beautiful flower heads in the fall. It died back in the winter. The birds have been munching on these seed heads. And there's new growth at the very bottom of the plant that's been there all winter, little tight buds. At this point, I'm getting ready for spring. I want to clean up, so I'm going to cut this back. I'm going to just come in and go to the base of the plant and cut back these old stems, leaving the buds in place. If I got busy and didn't remember to do this, that's okay, because later in the growing season, it'll still be pretty easy to prune these off. I'm leaving these little stems intact because it's hard to get much lower than that. It looks kind of prominent when you're looking up close, but once that starts growing again, those will disappear. Another perennial I have in front of me right here in this part of the garden is Geranium renardii. It's a geranium that can be semi-evergreen in the garden. Some winters it leaves up a lot of leaves, and some winters it dies back pretty hard. This one has died back pretty hard, and I'm ready to give it a great big haircut and cut all these dead stems off, or even just pull them away, so that when it starts growing again in the spring, it's all cleaned up and tidy and ready to highlight that new growth. These leaves are a little tattered. I could pull them off so I only have fresh growth here, or I could leave them in place. They'll be pretty inconspicuous. I have an allium over here that's looking pretty similar. The seed heads are left up, and I just want to get this ready for spring. You can see these new little tiny leaves down here. So it's kind of fun at this time of year to pull this away so we're ready for the new growth. I had mentioned earlier that one of the important benefits of leaving up some of the deciduous stems in the winter is that beneficial insects often lay their eggs in these hollow stems. And they aren't going to hatch and emerge until it's much, much warmer outside, like in April or May. But by then, spring is going in earnest, and I don't want this stuff left in my garden. So if it was important to me to keep those organisms around or keep that habitat intact, I could put all of these cut stems into a pile out of the way in my garden. Then I'm still reaping the benefits of having provided this habitat for those insects without having to look at it in my garden. So this is a pretty simple task. It's pretty easy to see which parts of the plant are dead and which part of the plants are alive, but it's super satisfying to get out there and get this all cleaned up so you're ready for spring.